A second note on no orchids for Miss Blandish, but perhaps some magnolia flowers would do. This was an excellent work, and I can see why it was included by Le Monde on its list of best 100 works of the last century, 20th century. And I was thrilled, I was flabbergasted. I may have to try and read more detective crime stories because this is a crime story and I didn't want to get it off my hand. I did in the first place a couple of years ago, only to take it slowly and drink it as champagne on occasion on for festivities. But then once I got to it again a few days ago, I just rushed through it. In fact, there is another ritual I have. I read two methods. I use audiobooks for what I have on the phone, evidently, and then in the car behind, I have some audio discs from Humanitas and some other places, and I listen on the way to the Lycée Français and back. And then I have an e-reader on which I read the pool of the Radisson Hotel and mainly the jacuzzi. It's out in the open. I have time. I'm time affluent. I'm not money, not rich financially, but I get from positive psychology that this is more important to have this type of affluence and not be rich and have no time because you're basically a businessman, a CEO, or an important manager, and you're pressed. And yes, you make lots of money, but then you have so little time. You're very poor in terms of the time you have to enjoy. So um, this was wonderful and made me set aside the rest. I read from three or more books, not at the same time, obviously, but then I have this Orchids from Miss Blandish. There is a book on religion now, Religions of the World. And then there's positive psychology in practice, actually. Uh, Interesting, thick volume, many pages in e-reader format. But then with Miss Blandish, I didn't care about the others. I just went through it, and indeed, it's the heroine. Um, I'm thinking maybe the only uh, personage without blemish, the positive hero, heroine in this case, even if she has some, if not negative features, she has this downside, which is revealed at one point. She's been in spoiled. She's been in this rich house. Her father is a millionaire, Mr. Blandish, at a time when having millions was like close to billions. I think in the money of today, hundreds of millions anyway. And she had no problems, issues. She had no uh, opportunity to confront adversity and trauma. That can be bad. I'm thinking now of an example given by Tal Ben-Shahar in Harvard. The positive psychology lecture is the most popular ever there, wherein he was giving this example. If I'm not mistaken, a man in the Clinton administration who had a brilliant evolution and ascent. He was in Harvard, or one of the Ivy League universities. Excellent performance, wonderful. Very young, he He was promoted. He was in this top position there, and there was no shadow, nothing. He had no adversity in his life. And when he was faced with that, there was a crisis. I don't know, and it's besides the point now. When he was faced with a real crisis, he collapsed. He had a breakdown and committed suicide because he had no idea how to deal with this. And that's why another thing Tal Ben Shahar keeps saying, that is, um, learn to fail or fail to learn. I wish you fail more. That's what he says to his students. And at first it sounds outrageous, but then when explained, and especially after that example, it becomes clear. So Miss Blandish is in trouble, but to to put things into perspective, the trouble is that even if she was a tough, she would have been a tough kid, a girl with lots of adversity in her life. She wouldn't cope with a slim guy, slim Grayson. Uh, so that's the other side of this coin. Um, uh, it's just that for her it was so much worse that one can think. Indeed, her father at one point is so sorry and thinks that perhaps death would be a better alternative for her. And indeed, she's taken in by one band of small time crooks early on, and then still in the first few chapters, she's moving upscale, so to say, to a band of more terrifying monsters. I was thinking for a while that Eddie Schultz, one of them, seemed more decent, but then still a murderer, a criminal.